I almost cancelled my return flight from London to Seattle. It was for the winter trip that I had planned to go and spend Christmas with my family in London, but also to bring my dog Akira back to Seattle with me. Like, I literally had the reservation page open, ready to give up on this entire American dream. But then one American taught me this social rule that changed everything. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what rule kept me on this American journey and saved my Seattle social life. I'm Lauren, and I'm now nearly 2 years into my Seattle journey, and this social discovery didn't just help me make friends, it completely transformed how I understood American culture and community building. Before I tell you what that rule is, let me set the scene of how badly I was failing at having a Seattle social life. Growing up in London and moving to Seattle in my 30s, my circle was built over decades. Same school friends, same university mates, friends I'd met in the motorcycle world, friends I'd met roller skating. My approach to friendship has always been, well, it takes time. We don't just immediately become best mates. There's a process, a gradual warming up, lots of polite small talk before any real connection. But in my first couple of months of living in Seattle, I had work colleagues that basically adopted me, which I'm so grateful for, but I wanted to make friends outside of work too. So I tried to apply my London social approach. You know, subtle hints here and there about grabbing a coffee sometime, waiting for the other person to suggest some kind of plans, being polite but not too eager, and it was getting me absolutely nowhere. I was more isolated than I'd ever been in my life. Here's how bad it had gotten. I was spending every weekend in my home, trying to figure out what I was doing and how I was going to make friends without leaving my house. I remember one particularly brutal weekend where I realized I hadn't had a real conversation with a human being in like 3 days. In London, I always had someone to call or meet up with, and although I still have my friends and family in the UK, the time difference is brutal. And at the time in Seattle, nothing. Just my work colleagues who said I could call them if I needed to, but I did not want to disturb them. I felt at the time they were just being nice, and I could see people in my neighborhood having these amazing, rich, active social lives. My colleagues were constantly making plans, organizing events, building community, but somehow I was always on the outside looking in. Even when I was invited, I would go, have fun, but I wasn't exactly part of their friend circle. I really needed to figure this out. And that's when I started considering if I'd made a massive mistake moving here. And with my trip going back to London coming up, I wondered if I should just cancel my return ticket, let Akira stay in England. I knew that when I brought my dog over, that would be it. But then something happened that changed everything. Let me take you back to when I was moving into my home. One of my parcels got delivered to my neighbor's house, and I went round to go and get it, but no one was in and the parcel was missing. Did my neighbors steal my package? Why weren't they answering the door? Their car was in the driveway, but my parcel was gone. I didn't know what to do, and I felt sad because I was alone, so I left. The next day I was walking past my neighbor's house and there was a lady standing outside. I struck up the courage to say, "Hey, I'm your new neighbor that moved in next door, and I think my parcel was delivered to your house." The lady span around and bounced over to me with the biggest smile. She said, "Hey, yeah, sorry, we had went to the market when you came round, but we've got your parcel right here." She went and grabbed it, and the relief just washed over me. As she gave me the parcel, I said thank you and started to walk away. As I started to walk away, she asked if I'd be interested in exchanging numbers, and I said yes. Now, my British brain went immediately to, oh, she's just being polite. She doesn't actually want to hang out, and I won't text her, just in case she just wanted my number for emergencies. So now, 2 months later, I'm sat in my house contemplating whether I should cancel that return flight. But then a text came through. It was my neighbor. She reached out and asked if I wanted to go to happy hour. And I said, yeah, sure, let's do it. I almost didn't go. My introverted British social training was screaming. She's just being nice. She surely doesn't want to go out in this weather. But something about how direct she had been made me think, maybe, just maybe she did actually mean it. So I showed up. We went to this amazing Japanese restaurant and we had tons of fun and we just chatted all evening. Turns out we have loads in common. We both love anime, we both love snowboarding, and we both love happy hour. That night, I learned the social rule that changed everything. Americans say exactly what they mean when they talk about social plans. When Americans invite you to something, they really want you to go. In London, the social invitations that I received often came with layers of politeness and subtlety. I might need to be invited about 3 times before I know it's really genuine. I don't want to seem eager or impose, but Americans, they're direct. If they don't want you there, they wouldn't ask. And if they ask, they mean it. Anyways, after that first happy hour, we went for a few more happy hours, and after my own mentality shifted, my interactions with people around Seattle changed completely, and I decided I definitely need to stick around. So once I discovered this rule and my mentality changed, I started meeting people all the time. And not only did they make me feel welcome, we started to build real connections and friendships. My mentality had changed, I became less scared of the rejection, and I met more people who applied that same direct, genuine approach to friendship. The rule didn't just save my social life, it taught me something very profound about American culture. The Americans I've met build community through inclusion and not exclusion, through direct communication and not subtle hints. They make space for newcomers instead of expecting you to earn your way in. Everyone told me about the Seattle freeze, but I didn't find that to be true. My London social training had taught me to be cautious, indirect, not too eager. But American social culture rewards being genuine, direct, and inclusive. So that's the rule that saved my Seattle social life. Americans say exactly what they mean about social plans. There's no reading between the lines, no polite British subtext, no waiting for multiple invitations. When an American invites you to do something, they genuinely want you there. You obviously have to be open to engaging, so don't be scared to engage. Hang out, do things you wouldn't normally do. You never know who you might make friends with. So this rule completely changed everything, and 18 months later, I have a host of friends. They're the ones that helped me navigate Seattle and have become some of my closest friends here. And that also includes some of my work colleagues too. I went back to London, I went and got Akira, and I brought her back to Seattle with me with a newfound confidence. And my weekends went from lonely Netflix binges to being booked solid with actual social activities. Game nights, dinner parties, concert outings, not because I was trying harder, but because I'd finally understood how friendship works as an adult in the US. Americans watching this, thank you for being so direct and welcoming. You probably don't realize how much your straightforward approach to friendships helps people like me, who come from more indirect social cultures. Fellow expats, have you experienced this social rule revelation? Hit me in the comments and tell me how you cracked this code in your new country. And everyone, what social rules from your country would help someone new understand how to build community where you're from? Next week, I'm going to be sharing all about my housing crisis that nearly left me without a home. So make sure you're subscribed because I'm sharing all about my Seattle journey and life in the US. I'm just getting started. I'll see you next week for another chat from across the pond.